What's up, y'all? Relax. I'm here now. So, this is a review of Dune Part 2. And I've got some news for all y'all. You're not going to like it. Like, I don't care what side of the fence you're on, you're not going to like it. Because I got something to say. So, first of all, I'm just going to get this out of the way immediately. Spoilers. Because, yeah, if you were... Get out here, Olive. If you need me to tell you that there are spoilers for something that came out in 1967, you got something. Shut up! You got some other problems in your life, like Olive over here. Like, that's a big problem, frankly. Did I tell you to be quiet? Some things just don't listen. Anyway, so, yeah. As a moviegoer, as somebody who just watched a movie, and this took me over 24 hours to actually come up with the video because I had to think about it because I got some thoughts, you know? And one of the thoughts is, yeah, if I didn't read Dune, I would have thought that that was amazing. I would have put that down as 9.5, right? As far as out of 10. But, unfortunately, I read the book, okay? Now, so, as I said previously in another video, like, I get it. I get that there's different things that you can do, and you can do it in a, literary sense, and it makes sense. You can do it in a film sense, and it makes sense. But, yeah, like, sometimes those two don't match, right? Well, that being said, like, if you don't read Dune, okay, and then you watch Dune Part 1 and Part 2, the film by Danny Villeneuve, Dermot Mick, Danny Villeneuve, then, you're going to have a good time because, like, you don't have any, like, anything else. Like, you don't have any source material. You don't have any base for it. But if you've read the book by Frank Herbert, then you're going to be a little upset by what happens in Part 2, okay? Now, I say that because if you watch Dune Part 1 and you've read Dune by Frank Herbert, you probably weren't too upset because, I don't know, it was almost a one-for-one, like, adaptation. There was a couple of little things here and there, like, a little bit different, but not a lot was different. Now, Dune Part 2, oh snap, there's a ton of stuff that's different. Like, first of all, instead of a 2.5, 3 year time gap, I'm not even sure how long that time gap is. All I know is that in the book, Aaliyah, Anya Taylor-Joy, is like 3 years old and talking like Anya Taylor-Joy at the age of 20, right? Also, Chani and Paul have a baby. They have a son in the book. He doesn't last for the book. Well, I mean, he maybe, yeah, well, whatever. Doesn't matter because he's not in the movie. But, so, like, they took that whole thing out. Also, they took out the whole part where Toofer Howard takes the place of Peter DeVries. Toofer Howard's not even in Dune Part 2. I found that to be weird because, again, I read the books. What you should be learning here, more than anything, is if you want to enjoy cinema, don't read books. If you want to enjoy books, don't watch cinema. Or, at the very least, don't watch things that relate to one another, okay? Unless it's Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. That's like the only exception. The Hobbit, not an exception, okay? The Hobbit by Peter Jackson sucks. Yeah. So, yeah, there is that. But yeah, so if you read the book, you're going to be disappointed. If you didn't read the book, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. Like, I watched it with a friend of mine who had never read the books, and he was like, this was the best. This was one of the greatest movies I ever saw. And I was sitting there with him, and I was like, okay. Because I understood. Like, I was like, you know what? Like, if I hadn't read these things, like, I would have thought, man, this is great. but I read those things, and since I read those things, but I also fault Dylan, Jeremiah, Mel, Dylan, Mick, Denny Villeneuve. Yeah, I also fault him because, like, in Dune Part 1, like I said before, it was a one-for-one translation almost entirely. Like, the adaptation was very clearly, like, beginning to end, it was, there wasn't a lot of, like, adaptation, or alteration is probably the better word. There wasn't a lot of alteration, but whereas in Dune Part 2, there was a ton of alteration. Like I said, instead of a 3-year time gap, there was 6 months. Okay, not only is Aaliyah not born, but Chani is not pregnant and doesn't have a kid. Also, Chani is very much against Paul in the movie, and that's kind of weird. But, like, I get it, because Paul is not supposed to be a good guy. He's supposed to be the bad guy. And that came across very clearly in this Dune Part 2 movie, and I thought that was good. I liked that. I thought, you know what? Yeah, we need to make people realize that Paul is not the answer. Paul is another bigger problem. And then would you shut the fuck up? Oh my God. Look, if you're gonna get a cat, don't get one like Olive. Okay? And she's a tortie. I don't know if that makes it worse or better. And she also has tendencies to be calico. Yeah, don't get her. So there's the that whole thing, and then there's also, like, in the book, Fade Ratha is in, like, 2 scenes, like the one where he fights in the arena, and then the scene at the end. In the movie, he's in the whole fucking thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I really liked what Austin Butler did. Like, that kid can fucking act. Like, I'm glad that there's people out there like him still who can actually act. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. I mean, he's not as good as Sting. Oh yeah, he's way better than Sting. What am I thinking? All I see is an Atreides I want to kill. Moving on. And then, so there's that part of it. I didn't hate it. I got it. I understood, like, why you had to, like, make it very obvious that, like, he's the bad guy, because in the book it comes across, like, very clearly in, like, the 2 passages, because you can go inside their heads. But, like, in film that doesn't happen quite as much, right? So, like, they needed to, like, drive it home with the scenes that they had. And again, I didn't hate it, but oh man. So then the end happens, and Paul says, hey, Emperor, like, I'll marry your daughter, and she can be my wife, and it's going to be great. And then Chani pieces out, and this is the movie. Chani's like, bitch, I thought I was your woman. What you going to do? Like, you're going to fucking bang that bitch just because she's white? Fuck all that. And then she pieces out. And then it ends with, I thought this was kind of cool, but also corny. It ends with Chani Kynes getting ready to hop on a worm, like her mother, Liet Kynes. Side note, Liet Kynes in the book is a dude. But in Dune Part 1, the movie, it's a chick. But anyway, I still thought that was kind of cool, like the wraparound. I did enjoy that. But in the book, Chani, it finishes with Chani saying to Jessica, like, that's fucked up. Like, he's going to marry that bitch. And Jessica's like, bro, that's not his wife. You're his wife. Like, history's going to see us, not as concubines, but as wives. They're going to see her as a fucking figurehead piece of shit. Okay? Moving on. But that's not what they did in the movie. In the movie, yeah. They're going to make a 3rd movie. It's going to be Dune Messiah. I've actually never read Dune Messiah. I suppose I'll read it before this movie comes out. So, that being said, really, this is one of my Tale of Two movies on some level, because if I didn't read Dune, the book, then Dune Part 2 gets a 9.5 out of 10 for a review. But since I read it, the book, the source material, gets a 7, maybe 7.5. Just saying. Completely understand why people don't like it. And I have no problem with people who love it. And I don't have any problem with people who don't like it. Shout out to Mark with a C, Gospel according to Mark with a C. You know what I'm talking about. Because, yeah, like I 100% agree with one of his videos recently talking about the hypocrisy within the fellowship. And if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know my thoughts about the hypocrisy in this particular fellowship. Free speech for the win. All free. All freeches. Spree. Free. All speech is free speech. Right on. Dylan, Mull, Mick, Dermot, Bud Light sucks.